Hi, fellow traders. Man, what a crazy 2 weeks. It's been crazy boring. But this is the MO of the market, for the weeks leading up into the next earnings season. Sounds like a broken record, but sometimes we forget from day to day. We forget where we are. We forget what's going on in the market. But I just want to share a message with you, and this kind of relates to what's been going on. We can't control how the market moves. We can't control whether it goes up or down or sideways. We can't control how many people come in and trade the market in a given day. We can't control how many stocks meet our criteria for trading. How many hit our scans. We can't control all that. But what we can control is what we do with the situation that we're placed in. Whether it be not taking a trade, whether it be reduce our position size because the market may be a little bit uncertain, and we're putting a trade out there because it's setting up. But the market conditions dictate we size down. We can control implementing our trade plan, making our trade plan. There's so many things we can control, and if we focus on that, we do not give the market power over us. We don't give the uncertainties of the market that power over us that causes us all of this anxiety and all of this grief and not being able to really focus and trade like we should. Now, what made me think about this, I had a guy that signed up at the beginning of January. And, he was all gung-ho. He's ready to go. He's like, I know this is what I've been needing. And if you remember, January is just like March. Just like April. The first 2 weeks are the 2 weeks leading up into earnings season. And so those 2 weeks were really slow, just like these past 2 weeks. It was boring. Didn't get a lot of follow through. And there was a struggle really to make a little bit of money that we did. And so after 2 weeks, I get this nasty email from him, a rant, saying that I act like I didn't know what I was doing, that I couldn't find trades, that no way I could be a full-time trader because I'm not trading all the time. I'm not trading every day. And I'm like, I never did respond to him. I can't remember everything he sent. But I didn't respond to him because I'm like, this dude didn't hear a word I said for the past 2 weeks. So clearly, if he's not listening to me, he's not accepting me as his teacher. So yeah, it's probably best for him to move on. So I didn't even answer. So today I get an email from him after all this time. And he's like, first I want to apologize for the rant, the letter, from back in January. I'm sorry. I was just frustrated. I was at my wit's end. I had taken this class and that class, and what you have been saying, I've been watching your videos for like months, and what you've been saying made sense. And I just came in expecting immediate results. So everything that you taught me about unrealistic expectations, but more importantly, controlling what I have control over in the market. And at that time, I was floored because I'm like, here's a guy I didn't think paid any attention. It sounded like he didn't hear a word I said. But then I realized, as a teacher, most of the time we're not going to see or understand or even know whether the students actually took what we said to heart. It may be years down the road before they come back to you and tell you, you made a difference in my life. I'm glad you forced me to do this because it's helped me, at the next level. Some students never come back and tell you that. Some do. Some you run into down the road. But that's why I do what I do. I'm not in this to sell you anything. I'm not a salesman. I'm a serviceman. I'm offering a service, and that's what it's about for me. It's not about the money, obviously, because I could charge a ton more. It's about the service and being able to share with you guys and keep you guys on the narrow path to get to where you want to go. And we were talking about this. I know this deviates a little bit, but we were talking about this morning where, if you have these two guys, one's 55 and he's right on the verge of being a CEO. He's gone through everything and he's applying for the position, or he's up for the position, and then he sees this other guy, 35 years old, and he's promoted to being CEO of this big Fortune 500 company as well. And then he starts to think, well, how did he get here before me? What? And he starts worrying about this other guy versus worrying about what he needs to do to get to where he needs to be. But what the difference could have been, the guy that's 35 years old, the younger guy, he could have gotten hooked up with somebody, or he might have had a parent or a relative, or hooked up with a mentor early on that kept him from making the wrong turns that the 55-year-old guy made in his journey to being a CEO. And you'll never know, and you can't judge that. But what I'm trying to do with this roadmap series that I put together is to help keep you from making these turns. So it doesn't matter whether you've been trying to trade for 18 months or 24 months. It doesn't matter, because you might have been on the path, but you didn't have anybody guiding you and keeping you from making wrong turns. And it's taking you longer to get to your destination. Whereas somebody else who early on got hooked up with the right person and kept them from making wrong turns and getting to their destination. But this is just another example of something that you can't control, that quite often we allow to affect our mindset, to make us feel less and that we're doing something wrong, and we start changing everything up. Because somebody that's been trading for only 8 months is closer to profitability than me, and I've been doing this for 2 years. It all boils down to, how did you get to where you are? Did you have the right guidance? Did you have the right person guiding you? So you can't control that. You're at this point now. You can't control everything that had happened to you. Now it's time to take control and focus on the things that you can control in your trade. So, this guy said, hey, it's crazy, but after it only cost me $18,000 over the last 4 months to learn to understand what you were saying. He's like, I hate that I left when I did. Everything that you said, he's like, I remember everything that you said, every lesson that I went through and the videos that I went through in those 2 weeks. And, he even brought up the backpack mentality. So I know he got a lot of stuff in a short amount of time, but it just never sunk in, until now. But I thought that was kind of interesting. I think I went too damn long. But let's get into the market here. I was really excited. I'm showing this because this is what really got me going this morning. We wake up, the SPY's gapping up. The market looks like it's ready to really get strong. So I'm looking at this 290 level, 289.95 up here. I'm looking at this, and I'm like, hey, if we get over this and this thing holds and we start to run off of that, I doubt if we'll make a 52-week high, but we'll, try to make we'll make a push toward it. But it opened pretty strong, and then it ended up kind of giving it up and selling off. And you can see the volume kind of died, just like clockwork. By 10:30, 11, the volume's gone in just about everything. And we're not going to really get any good moves. It's just, we're going to get some moves, but they're not going to be tradable. We're not going to be able to make enough money for it to even make sense. But, you can see we kind of hung below it most of the day, but we closed above it. And so going into Monday, I'm very optimistic that we'll hold this level and make a new 52-week high, all-time high next week. And it's amazing. It's coinciding with earnings. So if earnings actually turn out to be as good as it did on the first quarter, then there's no doubt that we're gonna make all-time highs. So I'm gonna really look to have some swings on. I'm gonna look hard Sunday, see what we can really focus on. So don't miss that session Sunday morning. I might spend a little bit of extra time trying to find that one that might be a little explosive for us. But the markets, I hope it's not fooling me, but the market has me a little bit excited again, if you haven't been able to tell. All right, so today, all right, why are you frozen? All right, here we go. So today, this is a monumental occasion. Mark your calendars. This is the very first time I put a bank stock on my watch list. For years, I have stayed the hell away from these things because I thought they were the worst thing and they were the most corrupt people on earth. But lately, the last couple of earnings cycles, they've actually traded pretty good. So I decided to not be a jerk to it anymore, give it a chance. And I think what really bumped the market this morning was I feel a lot of people came in wanting to see what JPM and the other banks. But JP Morgan was, I think it's the one that everybody was looking to. But it really gave us a really nice setup here at the open. 5-minute opening range breakout, textbook. Here's a 5-minute candle. Here's the open. As soon as we broke it, jump in. Now, I was a little bit late because I was looking at another chart, of course. But what I was doing was crying over the fact that I missed the all-day hold entry on Netflix. And it almost cost me this trade, crying over spilt milk. But got a nice entry here. Not perfect, but nice. And got out at my first target up here. What was going to be 110.81. I think I got it at 75. Just a little quick on the trigger here. And it kind of showed some weakness. It just did not look like it wanted to. This one showed me some weakness. This one opened, sold off a little bit, and I almost clicked it here. But it held that level, it pushed up. But then when we opened and started to sell again, I just dumped it. But what happened was I had 300 shares in the window. I guess, I don't know how, but somehow I had 300 shares in the window. And when I went to sell the last 150 shares I had, it sold that and then put me short 150. So instead of panicking, I just assessed the situation and said, look, I've been feeling weakness. Let's let this thing go. And we'll see what, if it can go back to VWAP, I'll just take it off. And it came down, really nice candle here. But then I'm looking at time and sales and level 2, and all these damn buyers come in out of nowhere. So I just take it off. I'm not supposed to be in the trade anyway, so that was just a nice plus that I can add to my profit total. And you can see it kind of bounced around here a little bit and sold back off, but we couldn't get anywhere. This level here held is 109.78 level. It bounced back up, and as we got through VWAP, this candle kind of tested it again. This one even tested it. And this was a clear entry for me for my trend continuation trade. Because, see, we were still trending up. Look at, if you draw a trend line from here on through here, you can see we're still trending up. We have not, even though we made like a lower low here, overall, we're still trending. And so a bounce and a reclaim of this was a good entry for my trend continuation trade, and would have been really nice because it did almost hit this, and I definitely would have taken profit. I would not have let it come back without, locking it in up here. But the reason why I didn't take it is because I was being greedy, and I was looking for a home run move. I was looking for a grand slam move, because I started to think, hey, I didn't take trades Tuesday and Wednesday. Monday was a red. Wednesday and Thursday. Tuesday was a red day. I need to ramp it up here. The worst thought you can have on Friday as a day trader is to sit there and start thinking about your P&L and counting up money. So that caused me to start going back and looking at DIS, because I remember the strong move. It started pre-market, and right now I'm trying to stay away from pre-market until the summertime, where I can be here all morning and I don't have to take my son to school. But next week is spring break, so I may kind of look at that a little bit harder next week. But in my mind, I'm thinking, hey, this thing, this is big news. This could have some really good volatility. So what I was waiting for it to pull back and bounce. And it sat right here. It sat right here. It wouldn't bounce. It wouldn't bounce. And you just saw weakness. It sold through all of this. I couldn't short it into all of this support. I was going to have to wait until we got below it. So I waited, all of these candles, they couldn't do anything. So I'm like, hey, I'm going to short this. It's ready. I've been patient enough. It's finally broke the low of this candle here. So I got in. It was my trigger. And damn if it didn't put in support here. It found some support here and bounced. And ended up taking me out. And so when it came down again and tested this level, if it held up, it was going to be a long. It was going to double bottom on this. This had turned out to be a really significant level of support. And, once it held, I was going to go long. Now, I know I bought it real close to VWAP here. But as I had said in chat, I'm taking a chance on it pushing the VWAP. This is later in the day. This thing is showing some more strength. And I thought we would make another run back up to 130. I really thought this had the strength in it to get back up to like 131 and test this level. But I got it. Let's see. I got it here. I took some off at VWAP here, and it just couldn't push. It just could not push. It ran into this resistance here that kind of settled in back here earlier in the day. It kind of ran into it, and when we came back through, I went ahead and took it off. Just locked in what I had and just reset. And this thing started grinding again, holding the 20 here, kind of hanging around the 9 in VWAP. So as soon as we popped and made a new high relative to this, that's where I bought it. You know, once it broke out of that channel and covered some right here on this resistance that it had been put in earlier, and you can see it still held this. So this was to me, this was a smart move to take it here. Then we got to our next target, got some here, and then my final target was gonna be this, but because the price action and volume was so low, I just put it at 130 to see if we can run that up toward the end of the day, and we ended up getting it. So 2 really nice trades to end the week. You know, the only mistake I made, I think, was just taking my eyes off of JPM. I think I could have made more money today if I had just traded that and, you know, caught this later on. You know, because I would, once I take profit, one trade is on autopilot, I don't mind getting into another trade. So we could have done it if I had kept greed out of it. But all in all, 457.85, not a bad way to end a really, really slow week. All right, so I know you guys already know about the roadmap to success. I can't say anything more. It's just a good deal. I think you guys, you know, you give me 6 months and an honest 6 months, I can change your life. No, it won't be. It'll be a lot more intense than you think. But you got to remember, I'm not going to tell you the things that you want to hear. You know, I'm going to tell you the things that you got to hear in order to get to where you need to be. So let's take a look at this dismal week. Terrible, terrible, terrible. Last week, I just wasn't there. Wasn't here 100%. Like I said, I was trying to get my son together. This was the first trip that he was going to be on, you know, without us overnight. Even though we were coming to New York, we weren't staying in the same hotel with him. We weren't chaperones. We weren't going to all their activities. So he was on his own. You know, we just went for the concert. But, you know, I was kind of worried. You know, that was on the back of my mind, and making sure he had everything and making sure I had everything. Because my daughter was coming home to go with us. My sister was coming with us. And, you know, it was just a lot on me. So I know mentally I wasn't there. And when I got back Tuesday, I was working on low sleep. But I still think I traded fairly well. I was just on low sleep. So, you know, I might have been a little insecure. You know, my son, their plane got held up. It's like right when we landed in Charlotte, it was this big storm, and they were supposed to be taking off around the time we landed, and they ended up getting bumped, and they didn't leave until 8:30, 9 o'clock, and then they had to catch a bus from Charlotte back to the school, so it was a late night for us. I'm just thankful they got out, because some of the schools had to go to other airports, and their flights didn't leave till the next day, so they had to spend the night in the airport. So I'm glad that they were able to come back. But, you know, whenever you have, and I say all that because whenever you have these type of activities, you know, major activities that are going on, it takes a lot away from your mind. and you may not be able to focus like you need to, and you may have a couple of loose trades here and there. But you will, as you trade, the longer you trade, the more you're going to be able to recognize when these things happen, and the better you are going to be about managing yourself during that time. Because remember, you control yourself engaging in the market. The market is not telling you, is not forcing you to come in. No, it's not. It's not grabbing you by your shirt and dragging you in. You make the decision to go in. So if things aren't feeling right, there's no need for you to go in. So you can look at this week. It's pretty weak. Only 2 days I traded. One red, one green. 280.14 is the total for the week. For the month, just under $700. But I fully expect these next 2.5 weeks to really, I don't think I'm gonna rival February, but I should be able to match January or December. I mean January or March. So for the year, that just puts us over 15 grand. Seemed like it took 3 weeks just to break that 15 grand mark. But you guys have been here. You've seen every trade. You can go back through every video from January to now. Every trade's been recapped. You can have all the information from every trade. You can plot on your chart. However you plot it, you can, chart the progress. Because it's not something that just comes up overnight. This was a quarter worth of grinding and taking advantage of opportunities when they were there. Now, the Grow Your Dough Challenge account, that account, like I said, I'm looking at implementing the earning strategy. That's going to come next week. So I'll be talking to you guys about that next week. That should help. That's going to probably give it a spark. And we can try to make some money. We've still made more money than if we just stuck the money in the bank, or we, put it in one of these apps like Acorn or these investment apps. We're still kind of on par with that, or maybe a little bit ahead. But I think right now it's time to ramp it up a little bit. Let's take advantage of the new market that we're coming into and see if, we can turn some earnings trades here. So be looking out for that. So last but not least, let's look at the old equity curve here. So you can see what's happening on the weekly P&L. We're not our weekly totals going down. But I'm not so concerned about that, because as long as our equity curve is still going in the right direction, I'm good. I know we're going to have slow weeks. I know we're going to have slow periods. And if that's what's causing the issue, then I'm good with it, because I understand why things are doing what they're doing. And you can see these last weeks, we've been steadily decreasing. But let's ramp it up. Next week, let's start seeing some progress. But this equity curve, this is what we want to see. This means that we're putting money in our bank. We're putting money in our account. And that is what matters. Put money in our account. Our goal is to not stay in these brokers that cater to small accounts. Our job is to grow out of it. And only be in it if you choose to. I choose to be in it because how can I teach you guys when I'm trading a fully funded account and you guys are struggling in a smaller account? with all of the rules and regulations that they have. So it only makes sense for me to teach you guys in the same account that you're going to be trading and be in the trenches with you, because if something happens, we're all going to have the same problem, and you want a model of how to deal with it. That's what I want to be there for. But the goal is to grow out of it, and I grew out of it. I've got several accounts, so you guys can do the same thing. But once you get out, you don't want to go back unless you just want to continue to do it. So that's going to do it for me. I'll be back Sunday with a special edition of Rolling with Ed. Also, and I'll announce this on Sunday too, but at 12 o'clock on Monday, we're going to have a members conference in chat starting at 12 o'clock to kind of go over some things that's going to be changing for the better, and to answer any questions you guys might have about anything at this point. So just remember that 12 o'clock on Monday, and I will record it, so if you miss it and you want to kind of hear what happened, that video will be available. All right, guys, so enjoy your weekend, and I will catch up with you on Sunday.